Oh man, this is what y'all been waiting for. I love those violin. I love that violin. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? It is your boy Rob. Thank you for watching and listening to I'll Piss You Off Shortly. This is episode 2. Episode 2. We are here live in full effect. What's up, everyone? Once again, thank you for locking in for another episode of I'll Piss You Off Shortly, the podcast where we debate everyday issues, pushing your thought process beyond your normal, sheltered, safe zone. The topics discussed here are meant to be intense, promote growth, and at times may have you and I feeling highly uncomfortable. We may not always agree, and we will more than likely have varied opinions. So with that being said, I can't promise to be your favorite podcaster, but I can promise to be transparent, fair, and open-minded. So please, if you've got the stamina and passion to debate, analyze, and challenge the normal, please take a number. I'll piss you off shortly. Joe, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I am fantastic. Very excited for tonight's show. I know you got a lot going on here and a lot of really great topics as we're putting the show together today. Stunning racism out there, and it surprises me. You know, put it to you like this: I thought racism was sort of dead. I thought it was on the way out. I thought we were all sort of past it, and I got to tell you. I mean, I was wrong, and I was shocked. I thought it was just something people were doing at home. These Karens blow my mind. I don't understand that. I don't understand it. I don't know what would even make you. I don't know, Rob. I don't know. It's frustrating.
I'm telling you, it's so. I guess I'm so used to it. Just seeing it so blatant and so obvious, seeing it so many times, it's just like to the point where, and it's sad, where I'm just like, all right, whatever, just another one. And like you said, these Karens and these Kens, it's ridiculous to the point where it's just like, and they're so open with it. They don't even care anymore. They're just like, yep, I'm doing this. Take a video. I don't care. Just like matter of fact, the radio host, New Hampshire, just recently that got fired and released for complaining and going live streaming because Hispanic workers were working, and then their manager was talking to them in Spanish, and she's like, "What? It's America. You need to speak English." Like, are you serious? So I don't know. People, that's going to be one of the topics for today. Just the blatant racism. Just all around, it's sickening, and that's why I made Clan Hunter my brand, and I guess my little specialty brand, along with with the podcast, to really pull that stuff out. That's the biggest thing right there. To pull that kind of stuff out. If you go to, matter of fact, if you go to I'll piss you off shortly.com, you'll see all of our new merch. You'll see all my Clan Hunter merch. Matter of fact, you have it right here. One of the first samples.
Yes,
go ahead, get you a Clan Hunter shirt. And it's not, if you look at what Clan Hunter is about and you go to either clanhunter.com or I'll piss you off shortly, it's going to bring you to the same site, but it's going to tell you exactly what we're about. It's going to have my blogs there. It's going to talk about racism. It's going to bring up discussions, and you can also get cool masks like that. Protect yourself from the COVID and from these haters, from these crazy conservatives, whether they're black or white. And then Clan Hunter, it's not just about a Klan's member. It's just about defeating racism and hunting these racists. Let them see you. Something cool. If you have the audacity to don that apparel, go ahead. You see Karen right there. If those that are listening, I have a Karen right there donning a mask. And then, matter of fact, guess what I just got in, Joe? I'm gonna have to get you one of these.
Oh, I would love that.
I'm gonna have to get you one of these. If everybody,
I love it.
That's a matter of fact, if I get somebody in the comments, first person to comment with if they have an iPhone or a Samsung 10. we're gonna get you one. All right. So go ahead, Joe. Post that up. First person that comments that says I got it. But what we're gonna do, so go ahead, go there. I'll piss you off shortly.com. Use code pissed off 15, pissed off 15 at checkout for 15% off any new order. And yeah, you'll be able to see there. Also, let's not forget all of our I'll piss you off shortly family. I think I want to call y'all hunters, but I don't want to put everybody into the same category. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody might not be comfortable with clan hunters. So we'll figure out a name for our family here, Joe. But if you guys go to clovercrestmedia.com/I'll dash piss dash you dash off dash shortly to subscribe and download all podcasts first, I would be greatly appreciative. And that's where you're going to be able to get a lot of new input and all of our content first, outside of I'll piss you off shortly.com. All episodes of I'll piss you off shortly can be found on all major digital stream platforms, wherever you may listen to your favorite podcasts. And make sure you guys go follow I'll piss you off shortly at I'll piss you off shortly on Instagram and Facebook. If you guys are watching now, you guys already know how to get here. But yeah, so we were talking about racism, Joe. I had an argument with somebody today that actually came into my messages and was like, "Hey, I love your podcast. It's starting to look good, and I've watched you on a couple episodes. We'll listen to you on a couple episodes of Divided We Stand. It seems like you just hate white people." No, I don't hate white people. It might seem that way. I hate that the history white people have brought and carried over through centuries, and not every white person, but as we can see, a lot. There's still a lot of racists out there. So if we can disseminate the racists from, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, because it's not just that. So, they're like, well, the Klan was white. Well, that's the prominent racist group. Well, what about gangs and everything else? They're not necessarily racist if you look, unless you look at certain gangs, but I chose Clan Hunter because that's a prominent figure. And it's not just about white people. It's just from what I've grown up to be, mostly white people were racist, but it's not that. But if you actually listen to any of the previous episodes, I call myself out for having kind of racist tendencies. So before you call me out, do your history, do your research, listen to what I've got to say, read my blogs, and we'll go from there, right? But going into there, if we really want to talk about racist, let's start a segment called Yep, That's Racist. Matter of fact, let's start with a rally. A rally, I believe that was in 2006. Trump rally, group of race starting yelling obscenities at a Hispanic man. Check his papers, build that wall. Where's your green card? Let's just hear it out, Joe. All right, so what's crazy? That smirk, we'll keep letting him play, but I'm just going to talk a little bit. But the smirk of that woman in a red shirt, she has like so much privilege. As if like she'll just say, like, I want to say, just because my white privilege, I'm going to smirk and say what I want to say. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy the obscenities they were saying. You hear them saying, build that wall, check his green cards, check his, like, where's your green card? Yes, Jessica, they are. They're used to be afraid of exposing themselves. And I think now they have their big brother, their backer, old Trumpito, to back him up. But the biggest thing about it is we'll notice a lot, and I come from the era, and this might be opposed from the conservative view, but I come from the era of don't talk junk if you ain't got a glass mouth, right? Or if you have a glass mouth, don't talk junk, right? So what that means is if you can't take something, you shouldn't run your mouth. But now a lot of these conservatives, what we find is they'll run their mouths, and then when you meet them with the same aggression or the same tone, then they want to fall back and play victim. So now we have to figure out how do we oppose that. And that's just, addressing kind of just, what Jess was saying. But, going back to the video, They were just a bunch of bullies. I don't know about you. What do you think off of that, Joe?
Well, I mean, I think Jess summed it up. I think these people for many years just kept their racism quiet and in their house, and I'm
Mm.
not sure if it was Obama, if that was really what it was that again, Donald Trump has clearly made them feel comfortable in speaking that, in speaking about it as in their America and bringing their heritage back, the good old days,
Mm.
which sounds like, the 60s of some
So,
sort, either the
hey,
1960s or the 1860s, and either way, not good for black people. So to be wishing for that is about as racist as one can be.
exactly, and I kind of what Jess just said right there. I think in that aspect, I used to say I would, and when I lived in Georgia, I used to say, man, I prefer a Southern racist because you knew where you stood with them. And there's actually been times where I've met Southern racists, and after talking to them for a little bit, they'd be like, you know what, Rob, I respect you for who you are. Everybody else, I still consider them N-words, but and I could at least respect that because I understood where I stood. I understood where I was with them. But now it's just so more like, I don't care. I'm going to be racist. I'm really going to be to your face. And up north, what I realized growing up north, the racists were very quiet. So they would sit there and kind of shake your hand and whatever. But behind closed doors or behind your back, they would kind of do their own thing. And I would hear about it afterwards. So you look a little confused.
No, well, for me, I think that I think when you look at these Karens and this blatant sort of racism, and Jess brings up well, that's interesting, 1957, right? Again,
I
that
just saw
wasn't
that.
not a great time for anybody, but what was the lady in Central Park? I know the fellow was Cooper and she was Karen Cooper, but I
Cooper.
forget whatever her real first name was. The weaponizing of calling the police
Please.
by a white liberal woman is, to me, I kind of, sort of get what you're saying. We're like, we can watch any Trump rally.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to see some sort of racism or something
Some
unpleasant.
kind of, exactly.
Or some misogyny or xenophobia, whatever it's going to be. But to me, it's when you see those. I was just in a situation recently where I was with a person of Middle Eastern background.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking to a professional who's an older Italian guy, well respected in the business, and he made a very casual, stereotyped, racist remark about people from the Middle East to my friend from the Middle East, whose eyes and she doesn't look like what you would think of, in terms of somebody, but the just casual racism that just, I mean, she and I looked at each other like, oh God, he's old, so we'll forgive it. Those microaggressions, though, that's just, it's like the needles. It's worse.
Or what about when the microaggression is a full-on lie made up in their head?
Sure.
That's going to your point. I used to just think it was just okay. As it was older people, I would just sit there and say, you know what? It's how they were raised. You can't stop their mentality. But thinking about it, when I see, matter of fact, an older lady like this next video that I want to bring up, she's just making this ish up. Her racism is just blatantly made up in her head. And let's see that for a second. In my face, like, and I shouldn't be laughing at this because part of me at first, when I saw this video, I said, this has to be fake. This video has to be fake. This has to be kind of like whatever. And then I did my research and no, this is a real video. And then you think about, the Karen in the park that did that with her dog, both of the Coopers. She, first and foremost, that's not a Doberman. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but that's not a Doberman. Excuse me. That's more like Obama's look more like Obama's dog. And that poor dog was probably just like, it's you crazy. Like, what are you talking about? I didn't even come near you. The dog was trying to run away.
I feel like there's now white Karens running around looking for these sort of confrontations. It's got to be. I'm thinking like this. I just saw like a week ago a cop who like roughed up a black guy he pulled over, and I thought, do you watch the news, officer? Like, are you aware of everything that's happening? Do you think that that's appropriate today?
I think that they literally don't think that they're gonna get caught, or it might be just
Yeah, but the
nobody watching.
cameras are on, and they're like, "Yeah, record me," and you're like, I am." Then what? How do you think this is going to work out?
And honestly, I'll say this. Kind of with my military background, I remember there would be instances where like they something would go around locally, and then the leadership would be like, "All right, we got your guys' back if something happens." So maybe in the police department, they know that their leadership has their back, and that good old buddy system, falls into play. So they might feel like, oh, well, I can literally let out my aggression a little bit because XYZ, or that built up aggression. Like, okay, so for instance, I used to get so pissed off at one of my leaders because around Ramadan, he would sit there and say, we already know that they're going to go ahead and just be aggressive, so we're going to go ahead and give it to them first. No, I'm not going to rough somebody up just because it's Ramadan and whatever the case may be. No, that doesn't give me a reason just to go ahead and just be aggressive towards somebody just because historically, and we got to not get rid of history, but stop just falling onto this history stuff. You know what I'm saying? Stop leading on to history, because history is going to get you punched in the freaking mouth at some point. To go along with, with the flag, with the history of a noose, with any of that history shit. It's just disgusting to the point where, I back to the deployment thing. They were following that history of Ramadan being a violent term. No, that's just that's just their religious preference, and we're fucking up their religious time. You know what I mean? Their religious holiday time. They're praying. Excuse me if I sound ignorant of Ramadan and the holiday and the observance of Ramadan. I'm not religious. So if you want to correct me, anybody, any of our guests, please correct me, leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to address it. But just kind of going back to history, I found a video this week of a Jesus, I gotta stop with these I keep catching myself.
It's
there we
hard to
go.
talk for a long time, Rob, without saying
So hard.
Yeah.
There's this video that I found of a truck and somebody with their loser history and a noose. And this video, I guess they thought it would be funny to put a noose around this historic flag and paint the flag on their bed of their truck. And they claimed it wasn't racist. Let's see that their history isn't racist. And what makes me even more sick, this asshat has a Marine freaking shirt on. And he says, oh, it's for my dog. Well, if it was for your dog, I don't see Lassie hanging back there. I'm sure, Lassie, you don't walk your dog from that noose.
What are you, Mitt Romney? Nobody does that to that dog. That's nonsense.
So you're just like, the joke's not funny. Take that nasty ass Marine shirt off, because I know some Marines that beat your ass, some white Marines that beat your ass for having that shirt and disrespecting. If he was a Marine, I'm sure. Well, I can't even say that, because there's still, you know what? Well, it's kind of sick, Joe. I have guys, military guys, of people of color, that because they serve with somebody, and I can't really fault them for being friends with these type of people, but because they serve with them and deployed with them, they're like, I can understand, I got to let them be. No, F that. I've cleared everybody out. So to my point is, like, if you think that kind of stuff is funny, it's not. That stuff is not a joke. I don't care if it had 10 loops, 13 loops, because I remember that used to be the trend. Oh, it didn't have 13 loops. It's not a noose. Well, F that. We already know what it is with that noose hanging over that truck bed. Why can't that kind of stuff happen to me? I like let this kind of stuff happen to please, he wouldn't have had a truck door to even go on with. But that's neither here nor there. And we're hating on this because you're just being, like you said before, like he said, why are people hating us? You're just being a dick. You're playing dumb, playing dumb off the mentality of other people, and you probably couldn't throw a punch to save your life.
Well, sure, gonna be a tough guy, then be a tough guy.
So exactly,
you get called out on it. Explain why you put it there, and let's see what you can do about it.
I definitely wouldn't have just left a note. I would have been standing right there waiting for him to come out, and I'm pretty sure that would have definitely ended up differently. But you know what? That looked like it was in Indiana. I was in Providence this past weekend, and I will say that Providence and the BLM, Black Lives Matter movement, I'm not going to say organization because there's a difference in my mind between the organization and the movement, but their support for BLM and Pride, that shit is everywhere in Providence, Joe. I was riding my bike, and you can rent a scooter. So like they have these little cool scooters that you can rent. And it turned out to be expensive as hell. I checked my credit card balance. I said, holy shit. I didn't think I was going to be spending that much, but it was worth it. It was worth it for the 45 minutes. But you see like Black Lives Matter everywhere. If you follow, I'll pitch you off shortly on Instagram. You actually might be able to catch one of my stories still up there. I might put it in my highlights. And I was just taking pictures of all the signs and stuff that I saw. But they're I think they're loving my merch too. I took my shirt out there. I took a couple shirts out there. Sold a couple of, I think I reached a new demographic out there. I think I'll pitch you off shortly might be spiking in Providence, Rhode Island in a little bit. So but it was cool. It was fun. It was fun to be out there. It was fun to see the support and from everybody. Like it was more than what I got out in Connecticut. Like everybody was, I love the shirt. I love what it's about. I love the case. I would go around just taking pictures, and people like literally, and that's why I made the case that way, right? The best part, you take a picture and somebody, if you see a racist, they see what you're saying to them.
Oh my goodness. Wouldn't Karen lose her mind to see a Klan hunter see a racist, call them out as you're literally doing it?
So, I'm sitting there taking pictures or even just giving, content for Pitch You Off Shortly, and everybody's seeing it. So I got some pretty good orders off of it, especially at the skate park where, talk about the skate park. I don't even know what I'm doing at the skate park. Me and my son, Donnie, for anybody that doesn't know, my son is 5 and he is getting into BMX. So I used to have a hobby like that. When I was growing up, I used to kind of be in a BMX. I don't know about you. What were your hobbies growing up, Joe?
My hobby growing up is my hobby still.
Okay, there you go. Whoo! Put the heater on them.
Come on.
Put the heater on them.
Watch the entire team. I just struck out. Watch, they're all going to high five me. That's the kind of energy I bring.
Let's go. My hobby. That's what I'm talking about.
This is the other team. I love it.
Let's go. Now, is that a variation of softball? Because it seems like
it's a wiffle ball league.
Oh, okay, wiffle ball league.
Yeah,
nice.
It's it's great. That's what I've been doing. That's my hobby. That's what I do every Sunday.
That's awesome.
I do wiffle ball. It's great.
See, I need to find something other than BMX. Because I'm really not that good. I'm learning. I'm a little bit better than him now because I learned a couple things this weekend. But here, matter of fact, since you showed me a video, here's a video of me. Everybody can see, a little action up there, a little ramp action.
Here we go.
Now I will say this was a couple weeks ago. I am a little bit better, and I can like transfer spine, which go from one do a little action there. I was trying to get my manual going, riding on one wheel at the end of that, but
I'll take that again.
Yeah.
Let's do that again.
That was so smooth. And so when I did that, when I went down, for everybody's just listening, I went down a little quarter pipe, right? And it's pretty steep. This is in Newington. and a little bit. There we go. I tried to get the little manual, but I was going down the quarter pipe, and that was my first time ever doing one. And of course, it's the biggest one. So Donnie's like, "Daddy, you got to do it with me. You got your bike now." And it was either sink or swim, and I made it happen. So, but now I've gotten a little bit better. It's been fun. That hobby has definitely taught me a lot, taught my shins a lot. And I think it's really gotten me in shape. Old dog, new tricks.
Yeah.
But one of my other hobbies growing up was cooking. I used to cook a lot with my grandmother. My grandmother may she rest in peace, but she used to teach me how to cook. And one of her favorite meals was arroz con pollos. Now, I'm not Hispanic. I'm black. Everybody used to think I was Dominican back in the day because my hair was used to be wavy. I would wet it for a little bit and put a do-rag on, and woo, I had spinning waves like crazy. So everybody thought I was Dominican. But no, but my grandmother could make it. What did she teach me how to use? That good old red top adobo and sazon. But now, unfortunately, I can't use it. Do you know what I'm talking about? That good old Goya.
Oh boy, yeah, real bad, real
Yeah,
bad
man.
Goya guy. I mean, what a stunning, stunning position to take, and then much
Mhm.
like his buddy Trump, to double down. I don't understand the doubling down part. I'll never understand that. Just when you're wrong, just be like, all right, sorry.
Exactly. When it comes down to business, I think first and foremost, I'm not going to sit there and say that he can't say what he said because you can. But when it comes down to business, you have a certain responsibility to protect your assets, to protect your income, to protect your industry or what your business, right? So if you're going to make certain statements like that against somebody, well, towards somebody and in support of somebody, let's see here. Let's think about some things that he said. When he what was the wife of, hold on, give me 1 second. Jeb Bush wife, right? He has to like Mexican illegals because of his wife. Statements like that, or when he was even speaking to the same Jeb Bush when he goes, who cares? He speaks Mexican. This is America, English. Really, dude? But this is the same Trumpito says these things, but this lovely CEO, and I don't want to say his name because I don't want to give any hype to him. You guys can do your Googles. I'm all about you doing your Googles. But when you sit there and say, "Oh, this is blessed to have a leader like that," what's so blessing? I wonder. I wonder, like, what's such a blessing? Is it the fact that he's giving you so much money, your business so much money, but affecting the low income, impoverished employees that you have? But it's okay. You only gave them 2 million canned goods that you've been giving in the past 5 years, but you want to highlight that. That's what a lot of the conservatives want to highlight, that he gave at the beginning of this COVID crisis, he gave 2 million and canned goods, free food. He does that every year for the past 5 years. Matter of fact, he's given more. So no, we're not happy about that. That doesn't, make us happy. You're
Well, it's
doing the
also
standard.
it's also not you didn't donate 2 million cans and then you get to be an asshole. I don't think it works that way,
Exactly.
does it?
No,
Because if it
not at
does,
all.
I'll start donating more.
Exactly. You know how much stuff I donate without even, going to get a tax slip for it. And let's not forget, it's all a tax write-off anyways. So it's not like you're just doing this for the kindness of your heart. Your tactics are there. You're also one of those companies that also applied for what? Oh, a loan. And you weren't even stopping. But then that got pulled away. So let's not even forget that. So one of those small business loans, because you have a bunch of LLCs, the same way that I believe what was it, Shake Shack? What's the other one in West Hartford? One of those other companies. But anyways,
Yeah.
so let's cut the bullshit. And then I love when where they're like, oh, cancel culture. You know, we got to start canceling people back. We got to cancel the cancel culture. You know, if people don't punch you, if you can't punch, if you can punch back. Well, once again, that goes back to conservatives love to punch until they get punched in their fucking mouth. Their freaking mouth, excuse me, even though I gotta stop wilding. It's past 9. I gotta stop wilding. But you got you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna come back, and now guess what? We're gonna affect your pockets. And then another thing that really bothers me is they're like, oh well, you can't just cancel something that's a prominent staple in the Hispanic culture. It's not just Goya. And that's the problem. You don't have to just push the agenda on this big business, this big company corporation. You know what? I hope all Hispanic, everybody decides to go ahead and find other alternates, because there's so many other alternates. And I should have, and I failed you guys. A matter of fact, I should put it as a blog. I'm gonna make it as a blog post of all different alternatives that we can do, because I miss my red top. I love my red top adobo, but I'm never gonna use it again. Right. And then I also wonder how this is going to affect politically, because doesn't Biden have a 36% lead over Trump in the Hispanic demo, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep.
So now, you know, you've spoken out of you've spoken out of not even out of context. You back down. I mean, you double backed on it, so you meant what you said, but you've spoken irregularly. Now you have workers that don't believe that don't believe you, don't believe in you as a CEO, which is now going to hinder your working capability, which is also going to hinder your supply and demand. I mean, your demand, your abilities to supply your demand. Excuse me, everybody. So how are you really saving these people? How are you really putting their best interests ahead of them? Most of your workers, what is it, 89 or 88% of your workers are low and impoverished, below the medium income line, but you're one of the top 10 wealthiest families. Does that really make sense?
No wonder he thinks it's a blessing.
Exactly. So, you know, F what all these conservatives say. F, you know, oh, we love the products. I wish one person would go ahead and tell me what product they love. I can tell you what I love. I love their beans. I love their sazon. I love their champagne cola. There's so many things I can go on about. I don't even want to hear about their taco seasoning, because nobody uses Goya taco seasoning. Everybody goes to the actual yellow box toast, whatever the taco shell thing is. So I can't remember which idiot on Fox News was like, oh yeah, we love their taco seasoning, and they had to shut them up, because once again, that racism, that rhetoric was coming back out, that bigotry was starting to show, and they had to hide it. So until somebody, because some conservative can actually show me their seasoning closet full of Goya, so they can support their guy now, I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it.
Remember back in 2004, the mayor of East Haven, Connecticut, there were some allegations that the East Haven police were targeting Hispanics in that town. And his response was that he was going to go home that night and eat some tacos because he wanted to show support for the Hispanic community.
Wow, that's just like Trumpito. I love Hispanics. I love the Hispanics for tacos. Like the hell is that kind of? I don't know. And once again, it's just that, and they don't think it's anything wrong with it. It's okay. I don't know. I don't get it. It salt, pepper coming. There we go.
I don't know if you even know, but I guess in the chat right now, they're talking about ways you can imitate Goya spices, and there's a whole movement going away from Goya thanks to you, Rob, and they're exchanging recipes. It looks
that is awesome. That's what I'm talking about, everybody. This is what this is about. You know, I didn't even think. I shared on Facebook, and then I totally. I'm not you. I got to start engaging in the comments too. I got to get used to everything, everybody. I'm sorry. But I'm glad you guys are sitting there, engaging and talking about this is what it's about. I'll piss you off surely, right? You guys are supposed to be engaging, sharing things. But yeah. So last thing on Goya, pretty much. If you're gonna really be about supporting your own, don't just support your own pockets. Support your actual own community. Support somebody that's actually going to support not only your race, but other nationalities that's going to give you that equality and not just make it about financial, because we already know what this is a ploy is. And hopefully hopefully I pronounced that right, but let's really start taking care of our own. And that kind of goes into the excuse me, I don't know what it is. I got to stop drinking like Sprite. I love Sprite so much. Like Sprite is my water. And so I have a bad habit of like downing a whole thing of Sprite before we start the podcast, and then I start talking, so all this air is like coming up. So I gotta stop
drinking. I stopped drinking soda 23 years ago when I got into broadcasting, just for that reason. Yeah.
See, I'm learning something
love
every.
It's delicious. It's
so
delicious, but it's not good for talking for like long stretches.
No, not at all.
Because you want to.
The whole podcast is so bad. I noticed that the last 2 episodes too. I was like, man, I gotta cut down, or at least slow down, so I'm not always coming up with all the gas. But I guess since we've hit on some of those, I think it's about time to get on to something a little bit more serious that I hit on last week, and somebody decided to contact me, and we had a very long conversation about it. And it was how my take was, I guess, what I said about the Black community and how I ended the segment. Their biggest thing was, and this is coming from a Black male, that I should not have said that in the open. Like certain things are meant for certain cultures. And I'll be the first one to sit there and say, no, that's bullshit. I'm going to say what I feel is necessary for both. Well, for white, Black, for all minorities, all cultures, all races, because that's what it's about. If we just keep a certain conversation for certain races or certain cultures, nothing ever gets learned or nothing ever gets put out the right way. It's kind of like held information, held back, or a failure to disseminate information, right? Or just failure to grow. I kind of relate it back to the military. You pass your squad. If you were a private or a specialist below, past your squad leader, you didn't know anything. And depending on your leadership, you didn't know shit about anything until somebody higher up. So it was super, nobody could get on the same page. So if we're not communicating, or if I'm not holding Black people accountable, and Joe, you're not holding white people accountable, or a gay person holding another gay person accountable, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever the Christian holding the Christian accountable, conservative holding a conservative accountable, in public, we can never address these situations. And my belief is, if I can sit there and say, hey, XYZ Black community, this is what I feel, this is something that I can bring to the table, then I can sit there and say, okay, I've addressed my people. Now I can address that. And it gives me an even playing field. So no, if you can't address your own people, I don't want to hear about everything with Black Lives Matter and, white cops are killing me. Because guess what? Yes, white cops are killing me. But the truth is, we still have an issue in our own hoods. We take a look at Chicago. We take a look at Atlanta. We take a look at Virginia. We take a look at recently Brooklyn, a 1-year-old, I think last night or the night before, was murdered in Canarsie, Brooklyn. So let's talk about Sincere Gadsden. Rest in peace to all 8 of these children. We're killing ourselves in our own community. Sincere Gaskin, this baby was murdered in Chicago. Rest in peace to Makai James, 3 years old. Rest in peace to Natalia Wallace, 7 years old. Rest in peace to Sequoia Turner, 8 years old. Rest in peace to Lena Nunez, 10 years old. Rest in peace to Devon McNeil, 11 years old. Rest in peace to Amari Jones, 13 years old. And rest in peace to Vernado Jones Jr., 14 years old. Why are these children dying in our communities? And these are not the first. And I'm sure these will not be the last. These 8 children, along with a bunch of other children more, have died to the gruesome danger and horrific murders, horrific violence in the streets. Why is that? That's because our community has failed our children. Our community has failed our mothers. Our community has failed our fathers. Our community has failed each other. When I say that, we allow ourselves to kick each other down, but then complain when other people do it to ourselves. My mother raised me. I would like to think the right way. Raised me and my brothers. You may hate each other, but as soon as somebody starts hating them, starts hating your sibling, you have an issue with them. Mm-hmm. That's just pure loyalty. So how can we expect somebody to be loyal to the Black community if we can't be loyal to ourselves? In the Black community, let's face it, we'll start our own businesses and then we'll rob from ourselves. And I get it. We don't have. But how can we have if we don't grow with each other? How can we grow if we're not spending our own money with each other? If we're going to go ahead and just rob and hurt our own businesses, how is that really helping? And I get it. I'm not one to knock. I smoke hella weed. I love marijuana. Matter of fact, let's keep it honest. Let's keep it super transparent. I recently tried shrooms for the first time in my life. And I'll tell you right now.
Not bad, huh?
Holy shit. I would tell you right now. For my mental, I can't. My mental, I respect it. It was a true serum, and I definitely was out there. But it was too much for me. So I am super into freedom of, if you want to do whatever, but we're killing ourselves back into it. We're killing our own community with the drugs. And when I say that, it's not even that the drugs, it's not as bad as back in the 80s, back in the 90s, but with the drug use, the drug dealers, they're killing each other. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but the bodies bring the attention. Cut the freaking bodies out, actually get a right plan. Go back to kind of how the days were in the 80s and 90s. Unfortunately, when I think about it, when I was growing up, if you were of that cloth, you knew who was it, and you kept those people that weren't of that cloth outside, out of your area. So, for instance, I was not of that cloth when being younger, right? So they go home, get out of here. But then at the same time, those same bangers, those same drug dealers, they took care of their own community. When you would come around, when the cops would come around, if there would be an issue, the cops would go to them first, and they would parlay. Within 30 minutes to an hour, guess what? The person they were looking for was coming out, because those OGs didn't want you in their business. They knew how to take care of themselves. So when are you going to start taking care of your own community? You start getting these same knuckleheads that go around in the communities just robbing folks just because, but you don't want to give them up. Go ahead, shooting people up, shooting these children up, but y'all letting them sit there in the same houses and stuff like that. Pull these same assholes out, beat their ass, bring them to the cops, police your own area. This is just simple stuff. But then don't be mad when the cops come knocking on our asses. And some people are going to sit there and say it's unfair to say, because Rob, you live in a pretty decent area. I didn't always live in a decent area, but I didn't always live in the projects. And I never really, other than when I was younger, I didn't live in the projects. Get out the projects. That's another thing. The projects aren't fucking meant to be permanent. Stop having value, like Jay said. Stop having a value in things you don't even own. So it's just like we got to do better. And I get sick of hearing the sentiment of there's no fathers. You don't have, a lot of conservatives say, oh, well, there's no fathers in the families and there's no religion and da-da-da-da-da. That's bullshit too. Because what about all these white collar crimes, and what about all these other people that you don't hear in suburbia because they have the money to keep everything quiet? Shit, we have one of the biggest murder cases in not conservative history, but in that side of the fence. Rich white people, missing body and he off the self. Fotis Duelist, y'all do your Googles. But we can sit here and throw blame all day. But when are we going to sit there and stop killing ourselves? black, white, stop just killing each other. I don't know, Joe. I don't know how you grew up, but it was tough. It was tough just to even like even now still. I don't know about on the white side, but let's say on black side. We have so many different shades of black that are you aware that there's dark skin versus light skin in the black community?
Oh yeah, of course.
So it's
Everybody
just like,
knows that.
but what about so
Everybody knows that.
do you guys have dark skin, light skin problems as white individuals, as Caucasian, as a
No,
Caucasian?
well, it's. I mean, look for me. I am Italian and Portuguese, so
Okay.
I'm like barely white, technically speaking. But I mean,
Yeah.
right? I'm a white dude.
Mhm.
I get. You know what happens? I got a beard now too. Like the airport, I always get pulled for screening. Um, I've gotten the go back to Mexico thing from people before. It's a weird thing because I don't think white people look at other white people and think white person.
Mhm.
I think they look at everybody else and think black person, Asian,
Person.
whatever. And that's what they're looking at. I don't. Yeah. I don't. That's not really a thing. I mean, I tan well. I get compliments on the fact that I tan well, and it's because I do have a Hispanic heritage. So,
Mhm.
yeah, darker skin, darker hair, and gorgeous eyes.
You
That's
know,
from Sicily. Yeah.
and it kind of brings me, and you say that, um, and it's just like that's more of a regional, type deal. But in our own African American community, we find ourselves battling each other. Now, let's look at the reasons why. We were put into the ghettos. We were put into these areas to be segregated into the hoods, right? Into the projects. We were given our women were given government assistance. And when you look at the government assistance, it was built to have fatherless homes, fatherless families. Um, but we have to figure out how do we take that and stop using it as a crutch and a reason to live a certain lifestyle. I get it, especially in Chicago. You look at a lot of these areas, it's tough. It's literally the trenches, and you because of everything that's going on. I get why certain people want to carry, and I'm not against people carrying. But when does the madness stop? When does somebody say? When does an OG say, "Hey, we got to rework this somehow"? When does the ego go away? When do we figure out a way to? I don't know.
I think, to me, and I've had this discussion before, I think we have to stop teaching people that, like, being disrespected is
Mhm.
worthy of killing somebody for.
Very true. The ego.
We sort of grew up in a generation where, you'd go out back and, kick somebody's ass and maybe the beef would go on for, another year or five,
Mhm.
but that was usually how it was handled. And then, somewhere it started being, where you saw guns and you saw people shooting people. And that's just, I think we got to teach our kids, like, you know what? Sometimes it's better to just tell someone to fuck off. And, to
Yeah.
me, just not paying attention to somebody, just paying somebody no mind and just being indifferent to the situation is the best way to tell somebody, that you don't give a crap what they think. As
I,
for these poor kids, here's the thing about Chicago that I don't think a lot of people understand.
mhm.
And you sort of touched on it, but I don't know if you did enough. These are all gang shootings.
Yes.
These are gang members shooting at gang members and hitting people like Sincere Gaston, and it's an absolute tragedy. Here's the worst part, though, right? Where do those guns come from? How do they get all those guns in Chicago with the strictest gun laws in the country? That's the argument.
Oh, I think we're cutting out Joe a little bit, but I don't know. You guys give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you guys can hear Joe. Oh, but so I kind of what Joe was going on, I'm glad he brought up on the point of where are we getting these guns from? I know. Well, I'm not gonna say I know, but I would think that. Oh, we're back. We good?
They're trying to stop me from talking. That's
They
the
they
man holding me down, Rob. I know
you're
what's going on.
you're cooking. You were cooking, Joe, and they didn't want you to keep going. But let's go ahead, bless it through.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, these guns in Chicago are coming from Indiana. That's a huge problem. The fact that guns are so lenient, they're making their way into that state, and this is a gang problem. And I
Yes,
hear conservatives like to talk about Chicago as if nobody's doing anything about it. There's all sorts of gang initiatives. The friggin'
exactly.
DEA is like stationed out there dealing with that kind of stuff. So, you know, to make the false equivalency to Black Lives Matter and shootings in Chicago, to call it black on black crime, is absolutely ignorant, because you're talking about, if you were talking about the mafia, the Italian mafia having a gang war in New York City, is that white on white crime? Give me a break.
Break.
That's
Exactly.
idiotic. It's an idiotic thing to say and think.
Very true. And let me clarify. I don't think it's black on black. Um, what? Shutting Joe down? Nobody's shutting Joe down.
No,
Anyway.
that's funny. Big Brother should say it like they watch him.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
you. I got. It was crazy. I should have read that. But anyways, um, my what were we talking? Oh, I shouldn't have said. I don't think that it's black on black, but like you said, it's gang on gang violence. And it has to. And when conservatives say, "Oh, well, it's gang on black," no, and that nobody's sitting there talking about it. Yes, there are, and I should have led with that. There's people, super activists that are local that have been dealing with this for ages and ages of, you know what I mean, for decades on end. I remember being a younger kid, always going to stop the violence, turning your guns, seeing all the different signs for turning your guns, no questions asked. I remember they did the gun buy program that I even think that Biden was a part of. At one point, purchase back your guns. But that at some point they have those guns for a reason because of their conditions and where they live. Those guns are there for a reason, and I get it, but where does it stop? Where, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of where the drugs, the guns are always going to be there, but who's going to be the person? Where does the ego stop to sit there and say, we got to stop killing? The senseless killings have to stop. Because we have 9 babies plus some that don't get a chance to see anything further, that don't get, you know what I'm saying, that don't ever get a chance at life.
So
Never
I
again.
think the other big problem is the prison system.
Mhm.
And, look, there's gangs in the prison system. And so if you're in a gang outside the prison system and you kill somebody, you just get to live with your gang in the
And the
prison
prison
system.
system.
And for most people who are in those gangs, that's okay. That's there's a reason they were in a gang. There just wasn't much going on the outside anyway.
Mhm.
And now they get to go into prison and be somebody.
Yep.
And let's not forget, most of these prisons are privately run. So how in the hell are they allowing gangs to form inside of private prisons? And why is the government giving them money to run these prisons that allow gangs, that only incentivize young guys out on the street to kill, knowing the rest of the gangs in the can anyway? I'll just go hang out there for as long as I need to.
The recurring cycle. It's a recurring cycle to keep everything flowing. It's that money.
Sure, it almost
That's
seems like somebody wants that system to stay in place.
So, yeah, and without it being said, because typical to the conservative belief, unless it's said blatantly out, it's not true or it has no hold. But we see that it's time and time again. These private, especially how they the classification system into the prison system and then how they even segregate or supposedly segregate and build their own wars between those gang violences. If you speak, knowing allegedly a couple of gang members will say that, how the prison systems tend to build their own gang wars. where there would be gangs that out before, majority of them got into the prison system, they were fine on the streets. But because of how they were, how they were put together or whatever the case may be, that's where a lot of the beefs and stuff entailed. But so I'm glad you brought that up, which is a very good point, which we definitely have to hit on the prison system, the privatized prison system soon.
Oh
But,
yeah, I mean that's
that's a whole
look,
nother war.
anytime it's just like with healthcare. Anytime you're putting companies in a position for profit and you think they're
Mm-hmm.
going to do the right thing and not the best thing for the bottom line, you got another thing coming.
Private and profit. Those are oh, they're two key words that they love so much, and all that consists of hiding and being able to maneuver things without other people being able to find out. Kind of like, well, I and kind of to get out of this a little bit, because we've been on here a little bit longer than I expected. Talking about private and what was I saying? Private and anyways, privatize. Private.
And private and
There we go.
profit.
Private and profit.
Yep.
Profit. Private and profit. Do you think that it could be profitable for private schools to open up versus public schooling?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think private schools had such a hard time competing with public school as public schools gotten to be on par
Mhm.
with private school. And when I say private school, I don't mean like, your upper echelon of schools, but like, most local private schools. The education standards are actually a little bit lower than what you would see in a public school because, they got to teach the pseudo science, creationism, and crap like that. So yeah, I mean, this could be a time for them to strike now, especially if schools don't open up. Where I mean, I went to a
So-
private school growing up, and we had like 10 kids in the class from the time I was in kindergarten until I graduated from the 8th grade. I went same like 10 kids.
Okay, so that I went to two private schools. Left both of them. Actually, the middle school one, it was like a mutual agreement. We'll say that. I was like kicked out slash like we're just gonna leave at this point. But that was Pine Point Elementary or whatever it's named now, and I think that's like Stonington somewhere. And then the other one was St. Bernard Academy in Sellington, old Catholic school, where actually I got released and let go from due to two white kids selling two white girls pills. And
Oh
while
wow.
they were settling up their pills, I went to the bathroom. They were in the bathroom, and guess who they got their pills from? But when it came down to it, when the mom of one of the boys had to call and said that it was actually them because she was missing two pills, and due to the investigation, they found out that she was missing a lot more than whatever said. So I left. They wanted to kick me out. We'll just leave it at that. Bygones be bygones. But anyways, I bring the school topic up because high school though, I went to a public school. I went to Norwich Free Academy, which was a public school but privately endowed. And I was thinking, I said, what that is, for a lot of people that might not be familiar, it's a public school to the local area of Norwich, Connecticut, and the surrounding little towns, but it's a privately endowed, so it was a investment group of like five or six back in the 1800s or whatever, to let the pretty much town of Norwich this private endowment take responsibility of the school, the education system. And I gotta say, under a public kind of like system, that was probably the best thing. But it gave them the opportunity to make privatized decisions. But we probably had the best public school education because it followed the public platform. But we had the financing and the money and the backing and stuff like that. With schools, with this whole beef now with schools, I would think maybe if and I'm not the biggest educational guy. I'm not on the board of directors, never claimed to be that kind of guy, but maybe if cities or towns actually started taking care of their own schools and their own judgment instead of leaving people that didn't really graduate high school barely and college and not actually doctors make decisions, we might actually be able to save a whole generation. I don't know. And when I say that is if we leave if we leave these towns and make these decisions, we might find it more based, you know, more comforting because now look, I have a 5-year-old and they don't even know what's going on. So when does the state take over? When does the cities, I guess, take over? Or, you know, those that are complaining, when do they actually start taking over and funding their own schooling? So then this way we don't have to worry about the government making these decisions for us. If
That's
that
a good
makes sense.
question. Yeah, it is. Well, uh, it'll be interesting to see. You know, I
Mhm.
mean, I think as of right now, you know, everybody seems to have their idea about what's going to happen, but I think we're in a don't you can't count your chickens at this point. I don't I try not to plan for more than a week ahead right now.
Very true. Very true. You can't.
I think you're crazy. You know, I mean, next week could be disastrous. You know, or next week could be, hey,
Hey,
gosh, things are really looking good now.
you know, and at first I was kind of where I was like, they have all these uprising cases, but where are the deaths? But now the deaths are starting to trickle in. Um, I see a comment about privatized schools are a problem, and I can agree. I can agree if they are strictly privatized, if they don't have any kind of I guess authority to keep them accountable for, you know, their actions. When it's a privatized school under the same regime or under the same leaderships for multiple years, that's where we have those issues that arise. Instead of having like I guess a true like conglomerate. Why not the board of it? I guess some of the board of educations or board, what are they called? I'm sorry, I'm just getting into the whole parent thing with schooling. What is it? The superintendent and all, the board of
Yeah, Board of
education.
Education. Yeah.
Okay, you know, group of board of education. And another thing, you know, this is another reason why it's imperative to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Vote so you don't have to worry about this. But mostly it feels like, and I know it sounds like I always bash conservatives, but oh, God, they just get on my nerves. I can't say I haven't met a conservative that I don't like because my best friend's a conservative, but he's like a hip conservative. Like he's more libertarian than really. And you said it before that I'm more libertarian and I'm really starting to see that. But
Yeah.
I don't want to let that out on this platform yet because I really want Biden to get the fuck out of here. I have to fall into that entrapment and I hate it. But I have to, you know. But anyways, so more conservatives are more worried about just all the first world problems, I would say, about, you know, going back to school, you know. I can't do my job and watch my kid at the same time. But I remember years ago, or not too long ago, they were worried about just the school not teaching them the right things. I mean, even now we're still stuck in the same educational program. What, for the past 100 years? Nothing has really changed as far as the system and how they teach and how everything. And then years
Well,
ago,
Pluto's out,
you
but
know,
that's about
Pluto's
it.
out. I was thinking about that too. So nobody's ever been to the sun, but we have all these facts about the sun. I don't know, conspiracy type shit, but we know a lot about stuff. Um, we know a lot about the solar system, but nobody's really gone anywhere past the moon and Mars. And yes, Betsy DeVoe is the devil. She's probably the most ignorant, most uneducated person leading education in the world, and I don't understand that. But hey, you know what? I shouldn't. I guess education shame her because I do believe that you don't need an education. You don't have to suffer for 4 years and thousands of dollars in debt to actually be smart or actually do some logical thinking. Because even now, I look at some people that work from home, who I see on a daily basis, and I wonder what the hell do you actually do at work and why do you get paid so much money? Because literally you just get on the phone and ask people how to do stuff all day. But you know, I digress. But you know, they say, you know, if you have a degree, you're more like, you know, you're more capable of doing a job. But you know, anyways, we see how DeVoe does. But anyways, and we also
You
see
know,
how.
you
Go
know where
ahead.
that money comes from, by the way? The
I'm
DeVos
interested.
money? Amway.
Amway.
No kidding.
Hold on. So doesn't she? So she's the one with the boat, right?
Yep. Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, she got the boat and the
Screw them.
islands and doesn't want to pay the taxes. And but we got to pull up our bootstraps and just make it work.
Yeah.
Just and they say, oh, there's no loopholes. We don't play loopholes. Okay. So, it is what it is. But we're worried about I also heard her say something about, them worried about the social and mental effects of children. Hello, wasn't that the excuse when they were shooting all these schools up? That there was social and mental issues, that maybe they're in school too much. Maybe we need to dial back from school a little bit too much. It's too hard. Make up your minds, people. Guess what? Maybe if you toughen yourselves up, let your kids get some tough skin. I'm sorry, I used to get bullied all the time, but I'm so glad. It probably made me the asshole that I am today, because I have the sarcasm and I'm able to take whatever you throw
like
at
it.
me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, so what? It's more seeming like a first world problem than anything, and a more inconvenience. Figure out what you want to do. Take responsibility for your own children. Take responsibility for this time to actually educate them on something, and stop putting their lives in jeopardy. But then a part of me actually wants to be like, let these idiots send their kids to school, let their kids start wiping themselves or older people out, and then we'll see what happens then. And then we can sit there and say, look at you idiots. Look what happened. And go ahead, Joe.
Let me tell you something. I've been locked up here for, 5 months?
Mm-hmm.
I played along. I wear a mask. I even wore gloves the first time I left my house. I know that's I did. I didn't know.
Hey, there you go.
I didn't know. I did it. I'm playing along. I go up and down the aisles the right way at the grocery store.
Yep.
Whatever.
Which I still got to learn how to do.
I'm willing to play along, willing to do my part. I know it's more than a cold. I know they're still trying to figure it out. I know there's a lot going on with that. I understand science, and I'm all about it. But I did my part. I stayed home. I've been working from home. My wife's been working from home. We've been teaching our children. And I'm all in. And hey, we're trying to flatten the curve. I'm in. I'm the greater good guy. Now you want to just throw the kids back to school? No, absolutely not. I didn't sit around all this time waiting. Get me a vaccine. Get a vaccine by November, December. Let's get the kids in school by January.
And that was my other thing. I said, so you guys were making big ordeals about the flu every year. Got to get the flu shot. If they don't have the flu shot, they can't come in. Well, but this is okay. No vaccine for fucking COVID, but let's just let the kids in the school. The most contagious kids in high school. Kids are disgusting. My child is disgusting.
My son's nose has been running for 2 years straight.
Matter of fact, Donnie's nose, his nose has stopped running since he's left daycare. His nose has not ran since we've taken him out of daycare. So you think I want to send him to his first year of kindergarten? Oh, hell no. Go F yourself. He can sit right here, right next to me while I record podcasts, and he can do freaking homework. And guess what? I'm riding the train of unemployment right now, unless somebody's listening to this wants to hire me. If you're brave enough to hire me, I'm available. But I'm here with my son. Me and fiance just had this conversation. If she wants to go ahead and work, go right ahead. I'll figure it out. Hopefully we can get some matter of fact, you guys come put some signs back here so I can, support and keep my son at home while your kids are over there coughing and hacking and killing, Nano over there because they want to go ahead and go to school.
Did you see this? Thank you for bringing this up. 3 teachers in Arizona taught a summer school class. They shared a classroom. All 3 of them have COVID. One of them just died.
But
yeah.
But matter of fact, Georgia's starting summer school. They just had, I think that was Monday. So yesterday they started summer school again, and they just had protests and everything blocking the buses and everything from sending these kids back. I think this was in Atlanta, somewhere in Georgia. So like, if this hasn't taught them something now, I don't know what will. And that's so sad that in Arizona that teachers are dying and they're still ready to send these kids back. Like, what is the incentive? Really, like, are we that stuck into a mentality that education has to be done in school in a personalized setting? I get it. There's social development skills. There's, there's certain skills and everything that we need to go, but this is only a time being. You think about how
Right.
long, how quick, with February, March, we're already in July, almost in August. What's a whole nother school year of being online? So what? It's not gonna do anything. But these people that always have these issues, these first word problems, they'd rather play this gamble. So we'll see if the crap out or not.
Don't you think, too, it's going to be harder for them to try to teach with social distancing and little kids in masks and trying to. You're going to spend more time wrangling cats than you are going to be able to teach these little kids. Oh, yeah. This is a stupid idea. And I feel like, look, the Republicans are like, open up tomorrow, and we tried and that failed. And now the Democrats seem to sort of want to, we should kind of get moving here because we don't want to make it look like we're just doing it, which we're not.
Yeah.
So pump the brakes. Pump
Easy.
the brakes. If
It's
you're talking about there could possibly be a vaccine around November, December. What is the rush in getting them back in September if we think that's a possibility? Again, play it by ear. Let's start the year like the way we ended it.
Yeah.
Online. No problem with that. We got good at that. We got good at it. We were killing it.
They don't want to take that's the only excuse I have. They don't want to take responsibility for what they made. I'm sorry. That's the only excuse. You don't there and nowadays, and you're okay with giving children phones, tablets, everything
And
else,
those things
TikToks.
are disgusting too.
Thank you. So your child can sit on TikTok all day, but they can't sit there and do 2 or 3 hours. You know how much work me and Donnie get done in 2 hours with me and him alone? Probably more than he gets done in 1 day or 2 days.
Sure, if I tell my kids they can play with the phone or the tablet when they're done doing their work, they do the work and they kill it.
They do the work, kill it. Matter of fact, we bombed out 5 pages before we started recording tonight. So I don't want to hear it, people. Take a little bit of time. Your job is important. But guess what? Especially if you're working from home, you can do it. You can do it. I've had to do it before. I had to do it in the military. I don't want to hear. I don't. The excuses are sad. Keep these kids home. Stop putting these kids in jeopardy. Stop putting your lives in jeopardy. That is point blank, period. I don't know. That's all I have for that, pretty much. Send them back to school? Hell no. Keep their ass home. I know I am. I hope so. I hope to. I don't know if that's the full consensus, but I hope so.
I'm almost positive my kids aren't going again, unless there's some miracle situation a month from now where I'm like, oh yeah, okay, great, this is amazing, but I don't see it, so no.
No. I hear that. Well, I guess I mean, other than that, I guess I have we'll bring back the music, my in rotation, to close out. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to close out. I'm not a good monologue person. I don't give good speeches. So instead of dragging out 4 or 5 songs, I figured I'd go ahead and close out with an album that I want everybody to kind of look at. So this week's album is going to be The Cool by Lupe Fiasco. When I tell you guys this album has, I don't want to say saved me and sound like super cliche, but when my first deployment, my soldiers would definitely tell you, my guys would tell you that they've heard this album every day, in and out until his new album Lasers came through. And this is probably a classic from Lupe. Well, not probably, is a classic from Lupe. So you guys check that out. Go ahead and check out some of my favorite songs on there. Hip Hop Saved My Life. You got Superstar, which was a very popular record record on there.
Song.
If you really want to get into something, Little Weapon. I don't know. Are you familiar with this album?
I'm not familiar with this album, but I do like Lupe Fiasco in general.
Awesome. Okay, so you're a Lupe fan. So definitely Little Weapon, Dumb It Down, and then my favorite, Fighters, which I get super emotional. Which I thank my brother for. He passed that on, but it has a line about missing my pops. And for those that don't know, we lost our father in 2012. to a battle of cancer. So that the fighters always gets me a little bit. But yeah, Lupe the Cool. As you guys see right there, my brother just put it up there, fighters. But yeah, so you guys go check out the Cool. That's my album of the week, my M rotation. I'm looking at the time now. We're past an hour. Joe, we keep making it easily. By the time I look, we're like past. I actually tried to keep it at an hour.
I'll tell you, Rob obviously is not an experienced broadcaster.
Not at
He
all.
is a man who likes to speak, and he can speak for a really long time, and it's an amazing skill, and we're harnessing it. And Rob has an outlined script, and he even this is so impressive because I work with I teach broadcasting, and I have a lot of students who podcast and who are on a lot of my podcasts because they're great. None of them do the outline the way you do, literally broken down into timed out segments. This guy is like so thorough in his work. I hope people can really appreciate all the work that Rob puts into the show. And then all the legwork I do to make this thing all
Yes.
happen while Rob is absolutely killing it. It's a great effort, and I'm thrilled that you're with us and that we're doing this. And it seems like we could go for a really long time. And by the way, I have an album I wanted to share as well this week.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Oh, the Hamilton album. Yes.
You know, I know Hamilton's hot. I got into it like big time a year ago. I actually saw it on Broadway. It's an
Okay.
absolutely amazing show. I love freestyle rap. So like Lin-Manuel Miranda has always been one of my favorite people. I think that guy's brilliant. I think anybody who could freestyle rap is brilliant. I think it takes a lot to. I mean, that's some smart stuff. And I'll tell you what, if you're locked down and you're afraid your kids aren't getting some education, it's almost historically accurate. So
There
learn.
you go. There
Yeah,
you
it's
go.
pretty great.
That's awesome. You know, I used to try my highlight in high school. I was the beat guy. So I used to tap on the pen, like the pens and the table tap. I might get a little video going. And then my boy Calvin, he used to freestyle. And then we used to have like two girls, Sophia and Michelle, they would do like the backup vocals. So I remember one like our hype moments was the cafeteria, typical lunchtime. And I'm just sitting there doing we're doing Method Man and Mary J. Blige, You're All I Need. And I was just
Nice.
getting it with the pens, making a beat. And like the whole cafeteria at one point just looked. And my boy Calvin, he's so sick with just freestyling. I remember from high school days that he would just go in, and for like half the lunch period, it was just Calvin, his freestyle, my beats, and like the girls singing backup. It was so dope. I can do poetry, but freestyling, not off the top, not off the top. But
It's
yeah,
my favorite thing, and I love to watch like late because you know me, Rob. I work a lot. I watch a lot of politics. I watch a lot of news. I watch a lot of sports for all the different shows I do. But sometimes I just need to unplug at night. And
definitely.
one of my favorite things is just listen to people freestyle rap because it's something I can't do. It's
I was
a
gonna say you
skill
got a 16.
Oh man,
Let me hear 2 bars.
I'm lame, but I try it so hard. My kids love it. I do a
Yeah,
lot of it around the house to try to freestyle a little
there you
bit. It's
go.
not good, but maybe someday.
Maybe we'll get you one
Maybe
day.
someday.
Maybe one day I'll try and kick a little something. But hey, I appreciate you guys. It's late. Let me know in the comments whether you guys like this. I love it so far. At first, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but it's like that late night Tuesday, that late night vibe. We're a little bit freer, a little bit more
I'm
open.
excited about the Tuesday night. I
You
think
know,
it's a good night. It's a good time. We had a really great audience for most of the show tonight. So thank you to
yes,
everybody that tuned in. That was great.
yes. Thank you everybody that tuned in. I'm definitely gonna be backtracking into the comments because I want to engage. Excuse me as I'm still learning kind of how I'm setting up my screens and stuff so I can engage and whatnot. But I'm gonna be, liking and commenting. Make sure you guys go once again. I'll pitch you off shortly.com. You'll be able to get all your merch there. Also, clovercrestmedia.com. I'll pitch you off shortly. That's where you're going to be able to get all of the podcasts downloading first. Make sure you guys go there, and that helps me with our numbers. So that way, if these advertisement dollars ever do come in, we can sit there and say, hey, here we go. But if you do have a preference, we listen to we can listen to I'll Piss You Off Shortly on all digital streaming platforms where you get your where you like to listen to your podcast from. Yeah, and to stay up to date and receive all access invitations and special content, make sure you turn all those notifications on, the bells. I think we're gonna. Well, I don't think. I know within the week we're gonna go ahead and get the YouTube going right.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so then that way you guys can go back, and then I'm still working on getting the actual episodes embedded on I'llPissYouOffShortly.com. So it's going to be available everywhere. You guys know where to find us, of course, every Tuesday 9 p.m. here on Facebook. Going to be YouTube Live, Instagram Live as we keep building. But for right now, Facebook. So make sure you guys like us on Facebook, Instagram to receive all notifications. At I'll Piss You Off Shortly on Instagram, and get your merch, man. So there's a lot of people outside of my friends on Facebook that have gotten their merch. I just put up some stickers. We got some stickers in too.
Nice.
I'll Piss You Off Shortly stickers. We got the Clan Hunter. We got it all. Make sure you guys go check out that merch. That's going to help support, because I'm trying to get some sound effect boards and stuff over here, because I want to do live call-ins. I was talking to Joe about this. So other than just the comments, I would love to, at the end of the episode, instead of me just rambling, have one or two callers call in, and we can, shoot the shit or see what's going on. And I need some sound effects. Like, I feel like throughout some stuff, like I need some sound effects. I'm going to try and see what boards I can get going.
It occurred to me earlier, and I don't want to make light of it, but the part the segment called "Yup, That's Racist," I feel like a game show, and I feel like some music could go really well on that particular segment. So I would love to see that. I think that would be fantastic.
All right, you see, you guys let us know. Put some stuff in the comments. Let us know what you guys think. If you guys got any suggestions, likes, gripes, complaints. Did I piss you off today? Please, if I pissed you off today, put it on there. Put it in the comments. Message me like a couple people have been. Make sure you guys go cop that merch. Like, subscribe, all that. This is I'll Piss You Off Shortly. I'm Rob Benjamin. That's Joe Aguiar. This is I'll Piss You Off Shortly. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.
Kane is in the building.